Hello, welcome to the program. I'm Joke Rogers in Lagos. We begin with the war in the Middle East, where nearly 400 Palestinians have been killed inside the Gaza Strip in the last 2 days. And this is according to the Hamas-run Health Ministry, which notes that a further 734 people have been injured. The Hamas Health Ministry says more than 20,000 people have been killed since the war broke out on October the 7th. This new development comes as the United States expressed support for the UN's latest draft resolution on humanitarian aid for Gaza, a vote which is expected to take place later today. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that Israel's military operation in Gaza will not stop until it achieves its goals. Mr. Netanyahu said Israeli forces would fight until Hamas was destroyed and all remaining hostages taken by the Islamist group's militants on October 7 were released. He adds that his suggestion for Hamas is very simple: surrender or die. They will not have any other choice. He notes that will do everything. He says he will do everything in his power to ensure that Gaza does not pose a threat to Israel. Meanwhile, Israel's chief military spokesperson Daniel Hagari says the military continued to deepen its ground incursion in northern and southern Gaza. Mr. Hagari said an increased number of forces were deployed in eastern Khan Yunis, where fighting was focused on forcing militants out of underground tunnels. According to him, since the end of the pause in fighting, our forces killed more than 2,000 terrorists from the air, the sea and land. Fighting in the Gaza Strip escalated on Thursday with some of the most intense Israeli bombardments of the war. Hamas also demonstrated its ability to launch rockets as far as Tel Aviv, even as the two sides engaged in the most serious talks for weeks on the new truce.
הגדלנו את כמות הלוחמים הנלחמים במזרח ח'אן יונס ואנחנו פועלים שם בנחישות עם 5
Meanwhile, Egypt is working with regional and global partners to ensure the freedom of navigation in the Red Sea area. Egyptian Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry made this known in Cairo, stressing that countries on the Red Sea itself all had a responsibility to protect it. He was speaking alongside his British counterpart, David Cameron, who says it's essential to protect maritime trade corridors in the Red Sea amid the ongoing conflict in Gaza. According to Mr. Cameron, it will be damaging to Egypt, the UK and global trade as a whole should attacks by Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi militants continue on shipping lanes in the Red Sea. The Houthis are playing an escalating role in the conflict in the Middle East, also firing drones and missiles at Israel in a campaign they say aims to support Palestinians in the Gaza war, where Hamas is also backed by Iran.
Everything that can be done must be done to get aid into Gaza to help people in the desperate situation that they're in. And on that level, we've been talking about the United Nations Security Council resolution, where we are very keen to see consensus arrived at, so that Security Council resolution, which is really all about aid and the delivery of aid and the need to upscale the aid and the need for it to get through in far bigger numbers, that can go through. Talks continue and Britain will do what it can to try and build that consensus in New York at the Security Council. I think the most important aspect of that in the immediate term is this issue of aid, and we are pushing very hard, as I have done from day one in this job, to make sure that Kerem Abu Salam, Kerem Shalom, is properly open for trucks to go in with aid to help people in Gaza. Yesterday I was in Jordan, where I saw the aid being loaded up. That now is coming from Jordan into the West Bank, into Israel, into Kerem Shalom, and we need to see that grow. That is a good route for more aid, and it's vital that we see that succeed. We confirm Britain does support the two-state solution. Obviously, we have to ask ourselves how we're going to get from where we are today towards that solution. I think one of the first things to say is it's very important that things aren't done now that make it impossible. And so we've been very clear with Israel, there can be no permanent occupation of Gaza, no displacement of people from Gaza, no diminution of the size of the Palestinian territories. All of those things would be wrong, and we've made that very clear.
Meanwhile, UN-backed report has found that the entire 2.3 million population of Gaza is facing crisis levels of hunger, and the risk of famine is increasing daily. According to a report by the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, the IPC, the proportion of households in Gaza affected by high levels of acute food insecurity is the largest ever recorded globally. The humanitarian situation in Gaza has deteriorated rapidly since Israel began a major military operation on October the 7th. And you're looking at pictures of empty streets in the city of Bethlehem in the West Bank, as celebrations have been cancelled this year due to the ongoing war in Gaza. It's a silent, festive spirit as the streets were devoid of Christmas tree and decorations. Meanwhile, drone footage filmed in December 2022 showed Bethlehem, the Palestinian city in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, which Christians believe to be the biblical birthplace of Jesus, crowded with tourists and locals gathering to mark the festivities. The main attractions in Bethlehem are the 4th century Church of the Nativity, built over a grotto where Christian tradition says Jesus was born on the 16-meter Christmas tree in Manger Square.